There they go, using that flamethrower for their scorched earth philosophy in the Vanderburgh County GOP. Well, we're going to discuss that and a whole lot more here in this episode of This Week in Evansville. I'm Johnny Kincaid. Thanks for joining us here. Be sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss out on our future episodes. Like us and share us so that other people get an opportunity to check out this information. And we're going to just get right into the meat of things here, because this past week has been quite interesting for the Republican Party. They threw out three members: Ken Colbert, Michael Dougherty, and Cheryl Badiger Smith. And the three people that they booted out for a period of 5.5 years. I mean, we expected that they would probably decide to, drop them from their positions in the party. But we didn't expect them to be labeled as in bad standing with the party for 5.5 years. I mean, it's going to be 2030 before any one of these three people is able to have anything to do with the Republican Party in the state of Indiana. 2030. That is just mind-blowing. Nobody, by the way, can remember there ever being this severe of a sanction put out against anybody in the party. I mean, this is just unheard of, and I've talked to a lot of people about it. Let's compare, and this is actually for part of this comparing apples to apples, because Steve Hammer, in the mayoral contest, was backing Cheryl Musgrave, and when Cheryl lost in the primary, Steve Hammer decided that he was going to back Stephanie Terry for mayor, and this is 2023, a year ago. And so they threw a big bash called Republicans for Terry. And that caught the attention of the Republican Party. And guess what? They removed him as a PC. But they didn't apply this long-term sanction to that. Cheryl Badiger Smith, her offense was that she ran as an independent against Wendy McNamara. Ken Colbert is because of critical comments that he's made, and Michael Dougherty is because he ran. So this is most closely aligned with Ken's situation here. All right. But Hammer, when they dropped the hammer on Hammer, here was the outcome, right? He bounced back, and in 2024, he ran for PC and was elected once again. And the party didn't do anything to stop him. They didn't try to stop him in the filing process, and they didn't try to stop him at any point along the way. A year, at the most, from when he from when the party took him off from his PC position, right? So now we've got the three troublemakers here that recently got 5.5 years of removal. 2030 is how long they have to wait. There will be 2 different cycles of party chair people in that time. This ruling came from the 8th Congressional District Committee. All right. So this committee of people from the 8th District, that's the next rung up. You have the county level, and then you have the district level, congressional district level. So from the district level, they all came to Evansville and held these hearings, 3 45-minute sessions, basically. There were maybe 50 protesters out front. I mean, it was kind of a zoo. It was a sort of but these were 50 people who wanted their voices heard on this matter, and that they're fed up with Michael Duckworth. One of those people from the 8th District made the comment, and it was documented in the Evansville Courier and Press, that she said, "Oh, those are just friends and family. That's just friends and family. That's all they are." Friends and family, give me a break. These are people in the party who wanted to be heard. There was a state senator and his wife there. There were people who I have seen at GOP functions, and there were new faces there as well. But the simple fact is, this just wasn't a bunch of buddies and pals that came out because their friend was in trouble with the party. These were people who wanted to be heard. People in Vanderburgh County who didn't like the fact that their vote was being nullified in this process. It's not friends and family. To trivialize this group of 50 people down to friends and family, that's an insult. And, you know, I just think that we need to be more mindful of these folks that came out there. Because they came out to make a statement. And their statement was trivialized. And their vote had been nullified. That's the other part of it. See, some of those people were the people who had voted for Ken Colbert, Michael Dougherty, Cheryl Badiger Smith. And their votes were nullified, stolen, taken away. 1,260 people voted for Michael Dougherty to become a delegate at the state convention. 1,260 votes were nullified and taken away by the 8th District Committee. Right around, I think it was 900 people voted for Ken Colbert to be a delegate at the convention. Their votes were nullified by the 8th District GOP. And Cheryl Badiger Smith, well, she didn't make it. Didn't make the cut for being a delegate at the convention, but she had people in her precinct that voted for her to be their precinct committee person. And guess what? Those people's votes were nullified and taken away. And in the eyes of the law, we're trying to figure out legally, does the party have precedence in this situation? I mean, do party rules override state law? Do party rules override the person's votes? That's part of what it needs to be sorted out here and figured out. I mean, there's a big legal issue involved here. And it's kind of hard, to me, it's hard to make because what I've heard from some people that don't see a problem with the party's activities here, they say that the primary is seen as a party activity that's paid for by the taxpayers. The primary is a party activity paid for by the taxpayers. Well, we got to close that loophole somewhere here. That doesn't seem right, especially since we're an open primary state. What that means is that when you go to vote in a primary here in the state of Indiana, you choose. You could always have been a Democrat, and you can go in and you can choose a Republican ballot this year for whatever reason you choose. You don't register as a Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever, at the elections office. See, in a lot of states you do. But in an open primary state, it means that anybody can kind of jump into that mix, and Democrats can vote in the Republican primary, and maybe they have some reasons that aren't pure for doing that. They can do it. But then to argue that even these Democrats coming over and voting Republican in the primary, that's still a party activity, that's kind of hard to swallow. Now, I want to take just a minute here to share what Ken Colbert had to say about the proceedings when he came out of his hearing on Monday night in Evansville.
Vanetta Becker was there. She had commented that I had disparaged her on social media, stated a fact, and I reaffirmed that as a private citizen, I can have a grievance with my government. Okay. I did end it by saying I can identify a sham when I see it. My personality was coming out, okay? I was very calm, honestly, during the presentation, but at the very end, I did stand up and looked at Brenda Goff and said, this is a sham, and Mr. Duckworth will be shortly inundated with a lot of complaints because he is the Republican in bad standing.
All right, so Ken Colbert can be seen as a pain in the rear by party leadership. Michael Dougherty is being pointed out as the reason that the Republicans lost the mayor's race last year. He's not the reason. Come on, give me a break. Michael Dougherty is not why the Republicans lost. Do you know who beat the Republicans? The Republicans. That's who. There was nothing to excite people. There was no message that resonated with the public. The simple fact is that they spent $1 million to try to get Natalie Rasher into the mayor's office, and nobody was buying it. That's really the bottom line. With $1 million, you should have got some people to the polls. But they didn't come out because they weren't excited about anything that they were hearing. Give them a vision. Give them something that makes them go, I want to vote for that person. But no. The marketing wasn't good. It was expensive. And it was all this top talent from Washington, D.C. involved in creating it, but it wasn't good. Natalie got some bad advice all the way through on that campaign, and they spent $1 million, and they didn't excite anybody. That's why they lost, not because of Michael Dougherty. But you see, the party wants to see these problems and this action that they took as getting rid of the problems. So instead of trying to work with people, let's just get rid of people. We're going to shrink the tents instead of expanding the tent for the party. We're going to just get rid of them. And what winds up happening in the process is that this civil war broke out. And now the party is just flying off in all directions. And one of the things that I said to Michael Duckworth to his face was that getting rid of Michael Dougherty is not getting rid of his problems. If he thinks that his problems are going to go away because Dougherty is gone, he's mistaken. Because the truth is there are probably, I don't know, maybe 9 people that are thinking right now about running for the chairmanship of the Republican Party. You know, I mean, I could sit here and name names from people, but the fact is that there's a good number that are thinking that they should be the ones, the next county chair. And they're in line waiting for Michael Duckworth's job. It's that simple. But if the members of the party, if the PCs make the wrong decision, they make a rash decision, that could be disastrous too, because we could wind up stuck with somebody as the party chair who is ineffective. And what we've got to do, here's the bottom line, and then I'm going to shut up. The bottom line is that this party needs to stop fighting with one another, stop trying to weaponize the rules of the party, and instead find ways that we get people working together, all of us, who believe in those conservative values. And it's really, really simple. We want less government in our lives. We want lower taxes. We want more freedom. It's simple. And we need to work on those principles and driving our decisions. And we've gotten away from that. We've gotten away from the planks of the platform. And we need to get back to supporting the Republican platform. and we need to heal the wounds that exist and move forward and get back into the business of improving our community by giving them lower taxes, less government, more freedom. And that is going to put us back in the business of winning elections. And until the Republicans learn that lesson, we're going to have a bumpy road ahead. So let's try to fix it now. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Evansville.